I love when biblical truths become factual. I totally do. So let's go back. I'm relating this to all of the reptile-like thinking with the Charlie Kirks, the Kirk Camerons that say the woman should be submissive. That whole Christian. I'm going to show right from the Garden of Eden, even down to the very apple itself. The very first apple, you know, the one that was on the tree that Adam and Eve were not to take from. So, because what is often found in apples that you're not supposed to eat? Worms. Yeah, but you can eat them, but you have to cut the worm out. You have to cut the bad parts out. You have to circumcise it out, sort of. Another way to put it. Oh, there goes my apple. Okay, so where the entire soap opera began is, you know, and there's been many different things around this, you know, interpretations, but Adam and Eve, they're in the flesh, but they are operating from spirit. That is, at the beginning, God gave them all that. That's the reason they didn't need to be clothed, because they weren't operating from the flesh. The Neanderthal, right, Christian, you know, radical sect here, Charlie Kirk, Kirk Camerons, all them, that think that women should be submissive, and they're reptile-thinking women, not trying to be mean, just saying it's literally, yeah, I'll get to it, you'll understand in a minute. That is the unevolved spiritually. It's the reason I keep saying that there's no biblical maturity there, okay? So the beginning, God gave this, that they already had everything. They operated from spirit, but they were told, don't take from this tree, because this tree, even though it was inviting, it had apples that had, well, you know, infection in it, let's say. So after Eve and Adam, even though the Christian right loves to forget about that, after Eve took from the tree she shouldn't, and Adam, God said to the woman, I will surely multiply your pain in childbirthing. In pain you shall bring forth children. You shall your desire shall be contrary to your husband, but he shall rule over you. Why? Because they both sinned. Not because that's the way God wanted it. So that's what I mean. If the world, but America, wants to stay biblically immature, they will believe this foolishness that the Neanderthal lizard brain is talking, which is that women are to be submissive, because this was a consequence. It wasn't what God wanted. And the Lord said to the serpent, because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock and above all beasts of the field. On your belly you shall go, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life. I will put hostility, and enmity means hostility. I will put hostility between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Why is this important, this her offspring and your offspring? Because this is an amniote. That's what I call amniote. This is like it's very much resembles humans, but what happened is, well, the serpent became a serpent, lost its arms and legs, because it was once a lizard. They say it evolved. I say, well, no, that's what God did to it. Because when you look into this, the common ancestor shared by humans and lizards was an early amniote, a small lizard-like vertebrae that lived years and years and years and years, millions of years ago. That's what the science said. I don't think the Earth's been here millions of years, but that's just my opinion. This ancestor was not a modern lizard or mammal, but a primitive reptile-like creature that laid eggs with special membranes, amniotic eggs, allowing it to live fully on land. So, and then when you go on to read further, lizards and humans share some very basic biological traits as vertebrates. They are not closely related in an evolutionary sense. Their common ancestor lived years ago, making them distant cousins on the tree of life. Yeah. So lizards are cold-blooded, humans are warm-blooded. So I don't want to. So it does say snakes did not evolve from modern lizards, but from a common ancestor that was lizard-like. Over time, adaptations such as limb loss, changes in skull structure, and enhanced sensory organs allowed these reptiles to become snakes. Why is this important, right? Okay, so go back to the Garden of Eden and what God said after the man and the woman fell. Because before they did, God told them, and what's so amazing about this is that it goes back, it's the fruit. I always talk about how God talks about the fruit and the trees and the limb, and it's just amazing. Like when God wows me, he's wowed me like a lot in the past couple of weeks. So anyway, so the fruit, the apple, the fruit of the womb, the fruit of the Spirit. So why did God not want them to take from this? Well, first of all, to listen to him, but because then because what was the first thing that happened? They realized they were naked. They started operating from the flesh. So then God has to spend the rest of the time. From there on out, they get tossed out of the garden, because really, if you look at an apple, and that's what I wanted to get to with the apple, is that, you're not supposed to eat the rotten part of the apple. So why would God say don't take from this tree? Well, it has some rotten parts that, you can look at it in a literal way and a, metaphor way, but both would apply really. So before that, they were in the flesh, but they operating from the Spirit. So God put them in the garden that's where they would operate from. But they were told, don't take from this tree, okay? Because then, as God says, the man and woman have now become like us, meaning they know that evil exists, so they can't be in the garden anymore. And before that, God had told them both to fill the earth. He said, multiply and fill the earth. What happened after that? And he said to subdue it. To subdue it. He didn't say, Adam, you subdue it. He said they both to multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. Okay? So equal. But because of the fall, because of this big mistake here, because it's almost like, did they take from an infected apple and then take that larvae? Do you see what I'm saying? The worm, eating the worm. But you can, like I said, look at it metaphorically, or in a metaphor way, or in a literal. Both can apply. That's what makes God so amazing. Like, we can't even begin to come close to his ability, his massive. We just don't have anybody on this earth that is like that. Okay, because it's so profound. So then they immediately, what happens is they see themselves as naked, so they got to go out. Okay, then God spends the rest of the time from Exodus on trying to get people out of the flesh. Stop with the flesh. If you want to still show me that you do not know how to treat women as equal, and stop your nonsense that women need to be submissive, then you are still showing God that you do not belong in the Garden of Eden, because you do not know how to treat others equally, because you're still in your reptile brain. Yes, because, the reptile got in this way. So because they were casted out, they no longer could receive this from this tree. This was the tree of life. Isn't it interesting? Yeah. So the tree of life, it's the air, it's everything, it's growth. They no longer could take from that tree. No longer, no, because now you have done, it wasn't even so much that they went against God. It was, but it was the fact that now they've taken in the serpent-like traits. And then now, even today, 2025, you see the serpent-like traits in Charlie Kirk Cameron. There's a whole bunch of them. Because they still live in this delusion that women are less than, and that women should submit. And then there are women that are reptile-like too. Sorry, I'm not insulting. I'm saying that's literally the truth. So if you want to show God something different, then maybe the first place we could begin is to recognize that women are equal to men.